Well, hello. Once again, Germany is being repaid with kindness for allowing migrants into their country. Here's the headline: 1,000-man mob attacked police, set Germany's oldest church alight on New Year's Eve. And this is on Breitbart.com. Links to all articles will be in the description. The article says, at New Year's Eve celebrations in Dortmund, a mob of more than 1,000 men chanted Allahu Akbar, launched fireworks at police, and set fire to a historic church. Already by 7 p.m., a man was hospitalized with first 3 burns to his face and hands after fireworks were hurled at a crowd of homeless people outside the city's main train station. More than 24 people were injured at festivities in Dortmund, some seriously. The events of the night were described as quiet by police in a statement and as normal by a spokesman for the city government. But at 11:30 p.m., police announced they were adding to their already much larger than usual presence in the city center for New Year, sending in further reinforcements of officers. This came after the force reported there being a large number of young men from North Africa in town, with federal police officer Volker Stoll noting there was an aggressive mood towards the public and police. At midnight, the situation threatened to escalate. A live wire published by the Ruhr-Nachrichten reported that a crowd of at least 1,000 young men began throwing fireworks into crowds of visitors, which also included families with children. Asked by officers to stop, the mob turned to pelt fireworks at police instead. Despite the prohibition of lighting pyrotechnics near churches, firemen had to intervene after fireworks were launched at St. Reinhold's, Germany's oldest church, setting the roof alight. Also reported by the Ruhr-Nachrichten was that a group of Syrians sang in celebration of the ceasefire in Syria. However, a video posted on Twitter by one of the newspaper's reporters, paired with the caption, "Syrians celebrate the truce in their country," shows a group of men chanting Allahu Akbar around the flag of Al-Qaeda and Islamic State collaborators, the Free Syrian Army. There was an uproar in Germany last month when St. Reinhold's Church was occupied by identitarians in protest against the Islamization of Germany. The demonstration was denounced as a clear provocation by neo-Nazis by Dortmund pastor Friedrich Stiller. On Heavy.com, ISIS warns Muslims not to celebrate New Year's Eve 2016. Islamic State terrorist channels have begun to circulate a meme urging Muslims everywhere to ignore New Year's Eve 2016 because celebrating it is practicing idolatry. The meme was circulated on English-speaking terrorism channels hours before much of the Western world is set to usher in 2017. An accompanying statement with the meme reads, "To celebrate New Year's Eve with the kufr is to embrace their idolatry and paganism and to shun the rulings of our Lord. Allah says, O you who believe, take not the Jews and the Christians as I can't pronounce it, friends, protectors, helpers. They are but of each other. And if any amongst you takes them as whatever that word is, then surely he is one of them. Verily, Allah guides not those people who are zalimum." There is nothing to celebrate. The Gregorian calendar is rooted in kufr and blatantly ignores the lunar calendar, and that introduced to follow the hijrah of our honorable prophet. We also do not celebrate the start of a new year. Rather, we consider sacred the month of sacrifice and the Eids, which are also times to consider our Muslim brothers and ourselves. If a Muslim finds himself amid such a celebration, the kuffar commit all kinds of sin, imbibing of alcohol, fornication, and debauchery. That must be avoided. The warning cites Quranic verses to dissuade Muslims from celebrating, with heavy focus on the origins of the Gregorian calendar and the pagan god that January is named after. Earlier this month, ISIS threatened New Year's celebrations around the world. However, with nearly half the world having already rung in 2017, there has yet to be a New Year's attack committed by the Islamic State. On the express.co.uk, 2017 warning: ISIS call on Western sons to launch brutal attack on New Year's revelers. Islamic State jihadis have urged their Western sons of Islam to launch brutal New Year's attack that will turn party venues into bloody battlefields. And here is a bunch of photos from this website, express.co, showing ISIS people terrorizing Santa Claus, or let's see, they looks like they're mugging Santa and his reindeer on one. There's a guy with a military assault rifle, pointing at a Christmas tree and a knife through 2017. Year sad and terrifying at the New Year's holiday. At the bottom it shows Obama making a smirk. Now this last article from the Huffington Post is months earlier, but it has the typical reaction of some people regarding the Islamic terrorists, trying to paint them as not Islamic. It says no one wants to see ISIS defeated more than Muslims. I'm not sure if that's true. And they talk about the so-called Islamic State is the enemy of Islam, that's why they had to throw in so-called Islamic State, because they have named themselves the Islamic State. That's what ISIS stands for, the Islamic State. And they don't think they're the enemy of Islam. In fact, and here they say, in fact, ISIS is the enemy of Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism, atheism, and all others who oppose its evil and barbaric agenda. Well, in fact, its evil and barbaric agenda is taken from the Quran, and these people are serious about being Islamists. Now, the article talks about how Muslims are the main target of Islamic terrorists, and that seems to be true. You know, most of the terrorist attacks are in a part of the world where the Muslims are, so they tend to be the biggest victims. And they're trying to paint this as, oh, since we are the biggest victims, therefore we are Muslims, therefore these people can't be Muslims. And we get into this SJW, politically correct, progressive dialogue that says we can read minds. We know that these people are not Muslims. We know what's in their head when they say we are fighting for Allah, and we say Allahu Akbar, and we are using the Quran. People that know better, like the Huffington Post and others like them, say, no, you're wrong. No, that's not what you're thinking. We can read minds, and we're telling you that's not what you are doing. What you believe is not really what you believe. What we tell you believe is what you believe. Really odd how they try to turn that around. It's not actually a correction. It's not odd. It's predictable. And here's a highlight from the Huffington Post. ISIS is not about submitting to Islam. Rather, ISIS is of the persuasion that you must either solely submit to ISIS or die. ISIS is trying to reestablish the caliphate. And once again, we have the mind readers saying, no, that's not what you're trying to do. So it's very possible, like everywhere else, every other type of person, every other religion, every persuasion, what have you, that all different people have different motivations. Maybe there are corrupt ISIS people that just want to make money, fame, and fortune out of it. It's exciting. Let's go around killing people. Wow, this is great. They're saying that they're doing this for their religion. They're destroying landmarks. They're destroying great historic works of art for their religion. And that's something that's been done for thousands of years. So when they do it, all the times it's been done for the last hundreds and thousands of years, when people of a religious faith destroy earlier shrines and statues, so we can read their minds and say, oh no, that wasn't because of that. That's, we know better than you what you think, so we're going to tell you what you think. At the bottom of the article, they have a number of people holding a sign, a pre-printed sign that says challenge Islamophobia because, and there's places where they assume the person holding the sign wrote in what they wanted to say. So there's this first one of this young woman saying, first of all, I'm challenging Islamophobia because it's a made-up and manufactured mental illness. There is no such thing as Islamophobia. Anyway, it says Muslims deserve to feel safe. Everyone, let me say, everyone deserves to feel safe. So that's great that you say that, but Muslims, like everyone else, deserve to feel safe. Now, of course, if it's other Muslims, as the Huffington Post pointed out, that are making you feel unsafe, then we got a bit of a problem here, because it's not Islamophobia if Muslims are doing the terror. The next sign, the extremists do not define us. Well, yes, you're right. However, the extremists are defining your faith for you. Religions aren't violent. People are. That's like saying guns don't kill. People do. Yes, that's true. Religion is an ideology. It's a concept. A concept doesn't go around killing people. People do, but they're using the ideas of the religion to terrorize and murder people. And the next sign, they scribbled, racism and prejudice still hold the world back from becoming a tolerant place. I'm going to focus in on tolerant because I do not want anyone to be tolerated. I don't want the world to be a tolerant place. I want the world to be a peaceful place where people respect each other. And when you tolerate the intolerant, such as ISIS, by trying to get in their head and say, oh no, they're not religious, what you're doing is you're enabling them to be intolerant and to do the things they do. The next sign, as a Muslim woman, you're oppressed. Yes, you are. In the part of the world that the Huffington Post is covering, women are oppressed. They're second-class citizens. They're slaves. They're chattel. They are owned by their husband. They're sold off by their father at a young age to be married. They are, if they are the victims of rape, they could be stoned to death or have an honor killing by their own family member because they're guilty of having an affair. Let's see. And that's it for the signs that I'm covering. Cultural diversity in Europe. It's great. It's worked for thousands of years, or maybe it hasn't. I don't know. But the United States is a melting pot, doing pretty good with diversity. But when you're bending over backwards to allow people to abuse the citizens that live there, then it's bad. It's not right. Because of what's going on in Syria right now, there is a humanitarian crisis. There are people fleeing. There are women and children fleeing. There are whole families fleeing. And that's a terrible thing. It needs to be addressed. There is also a large influx of Muslims pouring into Europe. And not all of them are, and I'm not even going to say some percent are jihadi fighters or whatever, but not all of them are innocent children. And these people, if you look at these signs that they've made, the things that they say about Western culture, they despise Western culture, yet they want nothing more to be in a Western culture. Now, is that because it's desirable and yet they hate it? or it's a desirable piece of real estate and they want to overrun it. I've read statistics, and I'm not going to get into that, but the birth rate of Muslims in Europe within decades will outnumber native Europeans. Whether that's the case, you can't predict what's going to happen in the future. But these people are all angry. They're angry about the West. They're angry about our way of life, and yet they're streaming in. So I believe there are people that really are refugees. I mean, how can you not say there aren't, that are fleeing a war-torn area? They're fleeing terrorism. But there's a lot of people that aren't. And maybe they are, but they're becoming radicalized, or some come in radicalized, and they're creating a very unsafe environment for people in the West. Thanks for watching. If you disagree with anything in any of these videos, please comment below. And please do subscribe. Support us however way you want to. And thank you. This is Happy New Year 2017. And all these articles I didn't read about, I read about, they were planning these terrorist attacks, homegrown terrorist attacks all over the world, New Year's Eve. But I didn't read about this plethora of attacks, so I'm glad for them, very glad for that.